Hello, I'm Kobe Hall, and today I'm going to talk to you about income inequality. The Gini coefficient, or Gini index, is used to measure the inequality in a country. Countries are rated from 0 to 1, with 0 meaning perfect equality and 1 meaning maximum inequality. The number you see is how much the top 50% would have to give to the bottom 50% to achieve equality. To get the Gini coefficient, you must find the area of A and divide it by A plus B, which equals 1/2. Now let's take a look at an example economy. John has made $1, Sally 2, Mike 3, Susan 4, and George $5 for the year. I then made a graph with the percentage of total population on the x-axis and percentage of income on the y-axis. Since there are 5 people each, counts for 20% of the population. To get how much each percent of the population holds in income, I totaled the income and it came to 15. I then started with 20%, which owned $1 of the 15. 1 over 15 equals 6.67. I then did this with 40%, and 40% owns 3 of the 15, which equals 20%. You have to make sure to add 1 to the 2 Sally has, because we're talking about how much the 40% has, not just Sally alone. You would then continue this for the rest of the graph. To get the Gini coefficient, we must find A, the area between the yellow line and red line. What I did was find the area between the red line and black line and subtracted it from the area of the yellow and the black line. I then took that area and divided it by 1/2 to get the Gini coefficient, which equals 0.2674. Now let's take a look at the U.S.'s Gini coefficient. From 1920 to 1935, income inequality rose due to little government regulation. From 1935 to 1968, it dropped to its lowest due to the Great Depression and the economy's slow recovery. From 1968 to the present, the Gini is rising from tax cuts and the businesses started up during the digital age. Now let's take a look at some foreign countries. Finland and the rest of the Nordic countries have pretty low Gini coefficients, with Finland having the 11th lowest overall. They consistently hover around 25%. Great Britain has the 42nd lowest Gini coefficient. They've hovered around 35% and shown their biggest increases under Margaret Thatcher during the early 80s. And here we have China. That's the 29th highest Gini coefficient. They hovered around 48% for the past decade. In conclusion, cutting taxes for the rich makes the gap wider because the money that could be going to programs to help the poor is being kept by the rich, hurting any chance that the poor can close the gap. Finland, Norway, Denmark, and Sweden all have low income inequality. They have low corporate rates, private firms handle public services like school and hospitals, and everything is measured and graded. The only downside is taxation and public spending is high, but this keeps inequality in check. Lastly, I have found communism to not be helpful to the people. Besides Vietnam and Laos, who are in the 34 to 37 range, communist countries have high inequality. Cuba and North Korea aren't shown in the rankings, but aid is always given to them, telling me that they can't produce for their own. This concludes my prezi. Thank you.